Hello and welcome to week 26 of Bariatric Bloke. Today I'm doing it from my office. Been a busy day, so easy to do from here. I actually recorded this earlier, and it was actually quite a long one, and I recorded the whole thing without any audio. So we'll try and do it properly this time. So checking in for this week. Today's weight is 283 pounds, which is 4 pounds lost since last week, which is a total weight loss since the first meeting with the team, uh, almost actually a year ago, of 121 pounds. And for those of you that like things to be a little more visual, here is a chart of the weight loss, and it's actually a pretty steady line, which is pretty good. Uh, at some point, it will reach zero. No, hopefully it won't. Um, but good progress still. Happy. Some weeks it's a pound, some weeks it's 2 pounds. This week is 4 pounds. No idea why. Nothing really changed in what I did. Um, none scale victories this week. And if it looks like I'm looking across, it's because I'm actually just reading some notes. So let me move this over here so I can see it and keep my eyes lined up for you a little better. Um, Big one this week is I can cross my legs. Not just like at the ankles, but actually over the knee. Now, this is something I don't do because it tends to crush your testicles, but that was this week. The other thing that happened this week was I actually hit what was my personal goal weight, which was 285 pounds. So everything from here on out for me is a big bonus. So I'm already happy with the results. I honestly thought it was going to take a year or so to get here, but it's only taken 26 weeks. Um, a couple of missteps. Well, not missteps, but things this week. The blood tests that I had last week also discovered that my vitamin A is too low, so I'll be taking an extra vitamin A supplement, and I'll probably start eating more carrots. Um, Interesting side note there: if you go to the supermarket where they have a ton of vitamins, they don't have vitamin A there, so who knows why that is. Also noticed in the last month or so that if I'm bent over, when I stand up, I kind of get dizzy and lightheaded. So I've actually been talking to my heart doctor about that one in case it's related to the bicuspid aortic valve thing that I have. Um, so I'm actually scheduled for another echocardiogram in March. I don't think I'm dehydrated, um, and I don't think the vitamins I was low on were low enough to cause dizziness. But I do have that scheduled. So I did get a couple of questions this week, which is one was, what is the purpose of the 64 ounces of water, or in my case, actually a little bit more? Basically, stop you getting dehydrated is the obvious answer. But dehydration can impact your skin, your cell production, all sorts of things. The biggest thing I've noticed, if I don't drink enough water, is I will get constipated. So I'm pretty strict now on drinking my water because that way I can stay regular. And actually, if anybody knew me before, that was the least of my problems that I ever had was being regular. It was being too irregular in the sense of too often. So yeah, so basically drink the water, and even before the surgery, it turned out I wasn't drinking enough water that you were supposed to drink anyway. Good ways of telling if you're not getting enough water would be to look at the color of your urine. If it's dark, you're probably not drinking enough. If it's light, you're probably in good shape. The other question was, what was involved in the weeks, months prior to surgery? So for the people at Wentworth Douglas, quite a lot. So we actually kind of, so it's actually on the 8th. Tomorrow will be 1 year since I attended their online course or online introduction to learn about the program, which means it's just over a year since I shared with a friend I was thinking of doing the program. Um, and I was expecting him to say, no, no, don't do it. But unfortunately, he said, yeah, yeah, go ahead. I can't believe you haven't done it sooner. So um, there's a lot of meeting different people. So instead of me trying to remember all this, I'm going to refer to one of the sheets from my binder, which is kind of like the little Bible that we get given. So the first thing to do, obviously, is attend the information session, which I said will be a year tomorrow. And then after that, you speak to your primary care physician, which is your MD in England, and ask them for a referral to the Wentworth Douglas weight loss program. Um, and my PCP actually was pretty happy about that because she'd been asking me to do it for years, and I'd always been like, nope, nope, I won't do it. And that's right around then is when you actually want to call your insurance company and verify that insurance will cover it, because even though a doctor may say you should do it, this is America, and if you don't have insurance for certain things, you won't get it covered. Fortunately, that wasn't an issue for me. From there, we then meet with one of the nurse practitioners for a medical evaluation, which is where they take your weight for the first time. Um, and that weight is actually pretty important because that's your starting weight as far as Wentworth Douglas are concerned. And you don't want to put any weight on from that, otherwise they won't perform the surgery. So you actually want to try and lose weight. So that's the weight I refer to when I say total weight loss since. So when I say 121 pounds, that's not 121 pounds since my highest weight. That's 121 pounds since I first got weighed in by Wentworth Douglas. And Wentworth Douglas, for those that aren't sure, is a hospital in Dover, New Hampshire. For the total weight loss since my highest weight, it's actually about 144 pounds. So, um, and I'll show you a picture actually for that. This week, my new UK passport came in, and I actually have my passport photo from just over 10 years ago and my passport photo from a month ago. And the one on the left was taken definitely at my highest weight, which was about 427 pounds, and the one on the right was taken about 10 pounds ago. So, big difference in those two photos. And actually, it's when I see those I realize how big a difference it is. So, after the medical evaluation, you then will meet with a dietitian for them to do a nutrition evaluation. Basically, they'll ask you what you eat, what you've been eating, what your eating habits are. You'll speak with you'll have a behavioral health evaluation done. You'll also get to speak with a psychiatrist, and that seemed to be the questions from them primarily seem to be, are you suicidal? Is how it felt. They kept asking, which is not something I've ever thought about. Basically, if you're apathetic, I think the last thing you think about is committing suicide. Um, and so that was just like a 45-minute, hour-long phone call. Um, you then have to attend a series of 3 nutrition and behavior management classes. That one you pay out of pocket yourself. That's like $200. And it's 3 classes that pretty much are the same thing, just 3 times. And the only thing I can think is it's kind of like, when you go on training for speaking to journalists, or you'll learn if you ever want to try and sell to a customer or get a customer to remember a story. You tell them that story 3 times, or you tell them the point you want to make 3 times, and they'll tend to remember it. So these sessions, you don't actually have to attend them in order because they kind of just refer back on themselves. And actually, I got delayed a little bit because I was away somewhere, so I couldn't attend one of the meetings. I think it was every month, so I had to wait a month to catch up. Uh, you'll get a ton of blood tests done, where they will look at your vitamin levels, things like that, and they will then have you start taking certain vitamins to get your lab work and everything in order before they'll perform any surgery with you. And then you will meet your primary care physician, make sure you've had any age-related routine medical screenings done. I was already pretty much on top of that anyway, so I don't think nothing extra needed to be doing there for me. Once you've got medical clearance from the dietitian, the primary care physician, the nurse, you then get scheduled to meet the surgeon, and they'll meet you and discuss with you which operation surgery they believe is the best for you. And then they will, when you leave, you'll get a date for your operation. And then 1 week to 2 weeks before your surgery, you'll do a preoperative class where they'll tell you what to expect the day of the operation, what you're going to drink, remind you of the different stages once you've had the surgery, Um, and they'll also then kind of sign you off. And then 1 week before the surgery, you have to go for a blood test, which I think is to do with they get your blood type to make sure they have enough blood available on demand if something was to happen and you needed a blood transfusion. The weird thing with that is you go for that blood test a week before and you actually get given a red band that you wear on your wrist for that whole week. You're not allowed to remove it. You shouldn't get it wet. Um, and if you do lose it or remove it, you actually will push back the surgery and you have to wait another week after another blood test. I'm not really sure why you have to wear that band. I'm not. I'm sure maybe if the surgeon's listening, watching, he might be able to say. But yeah, you have to wear that for a week, so it's a bit of a signal to people that you're having something done. And the other thing is actually on the Facebook page, people like to share that photo to kind of say like, "Yep, I'm on my way. It's booked. This is definitely happening." Um, so yeah, so that's pretty much what happens for the weeks, months before the surgery, and so it was from February to August that that process took the time. The other person I also spoke to during that time was a life coach that the hospital had, and that was primarily for me um, was to kind of have just somebody to run the whole idea by because call me cynical, but coming from a country with a nationalized health program, in the back of my mind, there's always the thing that the U.S. health program is for profit. Even if it's a not-for-profit hospital, CEOs and things of not-for-profits can still get paid a lot of money. So there was always this thing in the back of my head that, anybody you go to is always going to say, yeah, we can do that, we can do that. Fortunately, this team seems to be pretty buttoned up, and they don't seem like that. I do hear about people that get turned down until the conditions are right for them or whatever. But anyway, so that other person I was seeing was actually not associated with the program, and so they had no interest in whether I did it or didn't do it, and I kind of used them as a sounding board to see whether I should, well, just to make sure I was making the right decision. And then, yeah, so that's kind of it. So that's this week's update. I do have some other news, but it's not suitable for my mother, and it's not suitable for anybody that was offended when I said the word masturbate, because I may say a dirty word, and I don't want anybody to get offended. So if you're my mother, or actually even my father, I don't care, or you're offended by the word masturbate, you should turn off now. You've seen enough. You've got the weight loss and everything else. So I'll let you go. Mom, I said to stop watching because you're going to be on. Well, the thing is, with my mother, she'd probably be actually interested in this. Anyway, so when I started this video, I said I would give an honest assessment of what's happened and what's going on and stuff like that. And I was discussing with a friend the other day something that has been happening, which has been kind of interesting. And I said, I go, oh, I don't think I'll share that on the video. And she told me that I should definitely share it on the video because I'd promised people that I would be honest and share information. So the thing I'm going to share is about erections. So I have had some crazy hard erections, like ones that I haven't had since I was like 20 or something. I'm talking about the kind of erections where I can hold a towel up on my penis, things like that. So I think it's probably related to the diabetes no longer being there, but it's been an interesting side effect. So if you've been struggling with your erections or just not having as firm erections as you would expect, um, it's been working for me. And Mum, I told you to stop listening, but would you listen? No. Anyway, this one won't be a show and tell, but I did say I'd share everything, and there we go. So now I have to figure out what to do with them. But thank you very much. That's the update, and I'll speak to you next week.